But yeah, because we've got a different winner from two different nations, we can run the winners against each other first. This is going to be both players' second series of the match here. The one of them will be playing 3. Well, will be available to play 3. And if Toxiic can win this, I think all of you guys watching would agree that he's massively favored against Ahmad. And if Nwpo can win this, I think all of you would agree that he's massively favored against Gom. So the winner of this is going to be the heavy favorite to win the entire series. We've got a clash of styles. Toxiic was able to deny Dark's deadly offense. Can he now subdue Nwpo in a similar fashion? Nwpo against Jack was far from a one-trick pony. He was far from an over-aggressive, over-committing version of himself that we sometimes see. He was defending phenomenally well. I'm sure Toxiic was paying attention to that series, and he'll know that he's not going to get many free goals against Nwpo today if Nwpo can show up with the same form that he just played Jack with. Toxiic knows he's going to really need to try and force the mistakes, but that's not something that he's incapable of. Toxiic has something that every 1v1 player wants, and that is a deadly flick. If you've got a good flick, then that forces the opponent to challenge you, because you cannot defend fast flicks by just shadowing and backing off and hoping that the flick isn't that good. It's going to end up in your top corner. Moxie's shown that to the world recently. Toxiic is right there with him. I think he's one of the other players who's at the very top tier with regards to flicking capability, at least when it comes to peak flicks. I don't think he's right there with Moxie, at least in consistency, producing a peak flick every single time, but he can do it every now and then, and that is something that his opponents will be aware of, something that his opponents will be scared of, and it will force Nwpo to challenge, at least occasionally, when Toxiic is dribbling towards him. That allows Toxiic to 50-50 the ball under him. It allows Toxiic to play for mind games. It allows him to keep Nwpo guessing. Quick counter from Nwpo. Saved by Toxiic at the back post. Very low scoring game 1 so far. But with the more defensively sound Nwpo that we've seen today, I don't think that should come as too much of a surprise to you guys who are tuning in for the second match here. Well, Toxiic's flicked in an equalizer. Nwpo is nowhere to be seen defensively on that play. Yeah, when you're up against a player like Toxiic, you really can't be leaving your net that open. You know that he's going to flick it quickly in if you give him half a chance. Thank you, by the way, to Cyberfire for the 30-month Prime, 12-month Prime from Type Reviews. Jay Barayan, thanks for the 34-month Tier 1 and 78-month Tier 1. I believe that's all the months from Nwpo. Just getting up to a ridiculous number now. I've said it a couple of times, but we're at the maximum month streaks are no longer numbers that I immediately know how many years that is. I'm like, wait, how many years is that? Where's Ahmad? Ahmad's internet dead for the time being. He's currently trying to fix it. So yeah, good luck to him. Otherwise, it might just be Nwpo for Saudi Arabia today. But you know, if you're just gonna have one player to carry you to victory, it might as well be the guy who's already beaten apparently Jack. Nwpo trying to do it all here for his nation, trying to do it all for his team. Also exciting news for all of you Saudi Arabia Rocket League 1's fans, and indeed just any fans of the 1's scene. We might see more Saudi Arabia 1v1 matches with completely different teams in the coming weeks. This week is actually, I think, an exam week for Saudi Arabia, so the Twins, Khalid, probably others as well, have been busy studying for exams. But I believe after this week, the Saudi 1's players are going to be more available. So, yeah, we could get even a Saudi Arabia, well, definitely a Saudi Arabia A team appearance again, maybe a Saudi Arabia B team, C team. Like I said earlier, they definitely have enough 1's talent right now for 3 world-class teams. We already saw 2 world-class teams in the 1v1 World Cup. Ruas, Kalir's Nwpo winning the whole thing. Or rather, Ruas, TRK Nwpo, I should say. And then Kalir's Dark and Ams putting up a great fight as well. You know, they had 2 world-class teams without Khaled, without Mizixi, who's recently been very impressive. Even after Fahad's retired from the one scene, they've still got absolutely stacked talent. And I'm sure more players on the come up as well. This is like the KSA B team against the England A team. Yeah, you could say that. I think this is about England A team. You know, England's got probably enough talent for 2 teams as well. Can Toxiic equalize here? He can. Big bump lands. Toxiic makes it 3-3. Yeah, Jack and Toxiic are definitely the top 2 for England right now. They're the most consistent, the most successful ones players recently coming out of England. You know, players like Oski, Gom, Revzi, they've put in good results recently as well. So that's, you know, enough for 1 and 2/3 teams. And you just need maybe someone like Nolly. Nolly's had a couple of decent results in 1v1 show matches. Even Rise has recently done pretty well. So, you know, there's definitely enough talent in England for multiple ones teams. I wouldn't say that they're at the same level of quality as the Saudi Arabia ones teams, but they're definitely competitive, definitely able to get upset wins. Oh, what an absolute bullet of a reset that is from Nwpo. Slams it in the bottom corner. And he hit that one from distance as well. The back end of the car, Toxiic in the area. Did not think it was going to come at him that quickly. Nwpo with a quick look left, knows that Toxiic's not right on top of him. And a very composed performance from both players in the first game. I think when the Nwpo's playing with composure, that spells trouble for his opponents. He's really found the balance today between pressure with his insane offense and just the consistency, refusing to give away too many free goals. Toxiic going to be back within 1 here with a strong kickoff. Well, look at this. You're never out of the woods even with a 2-3 goal lead against this guy. Will Nwpo opt for a more safe strategy for what could be the last kickoff of the game? It is going to be the most volatile kickoff of the game. Diagonal spawn is what Toxiic will want. Opts for the wave dash recovery. Nwpo's going to come away with the ball right now. Strong 50-50 mid-air, but Toxiic not for the first time today. Bumps his opponent on the landing. Nwpo returns the favour. Just 22 boost for Toxiic. Nwpo waits patiently and sends the ball downwards to win game 1. He really has looked like the full package today, Nwpo. He's had the big offensive plays, but he's also been very difficult to dispossess. That's something that is terrifying to think of when you're up against a player of Nwpo's caliber. When you're up against a player with Nwpo's mechanical ability, you really do hope that they drop the ball in some other aspect of the game, whether it be mental game or strategy. Today he just looks so consistent. I feel like we're watching a different player when Nwpo is in the Saudi Arabia team mode. He just looks like he has a different level of focus. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if I'm crazy for saying this, but when Nwpo's in just a regular show match and he's only playing for himself, I would describe his play as careless. Often. Very careless. And carefree. And not carefree in a good way, where you're just trying to limit how much pressure you're putting on yourself, but carefree in a way that he's just giving away goals. Like he doesn't really care who scores as long as someone scores. But whenever he's played in this format for Saudi Arabia, he looks like he's a different level of focus and a different level of I think caution being applied to his gameplay. It's like Maguire for England versus Maguire for Man United. I don't think Nwpo's going to be too happy being compared to Maguire. No offense to Big Harry. but maybe that's not the comparison that Nwpo would want these days. Your friend Marcus, thanks to the 33-month tier 1. Nimbus, thanks to the 30-month prime. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And Nwpo's, he's just been very unique recently. I wouldn't really say there's anyone who plays the game quite like he does. There's certainly no one with his complete skill set. He can be the fastest player in the world. I mean, we've never seen a series where Nwpo's looked outpaced. Never. And these days, the list of players who have never looked outpaced in a series is a pretty short list. It's a very short list, in fact. I think it's a list that probably extends only as far as Nwpo, TRK, Yan. That might be it, to be honest. When you're saying players who have never been outpaced, I think that might be the list. First Killer, well, you know, First Killer I feel like has looked outpaced in a couple of series recently. But actually more recently, so I did as you guys know, I did a 1v1 ranking recently, and that was about a month ago, and I had First Killer at 10. If I redid that now, First Killer would be much higher, because he did win against, who did he beat in Fear's recent tournament? He beat AJ, well, he actually lost to AJ in a group stage, and then beat him in the final when it mattered. And I think he also beat Chronic, which is a big win, because Chronic's recently beaten Daniel. So yeah, First Killer, he's got very good results since I did that. Top 25 ones players. So does Nwpo, actually. Nwpo's another player who would definitely be higher up in my rankings after his performances for Saudi Arabia. I think my clear top 2 right now, though, and I know this is going to annoy all of Daniel's super fans, but my clear top 2 right now for the World of Ones would be Roas and TRK. They're the guys who have looked level above. You know, Moxie recently got a tournament win beating both Roas and TRK, but he does have losing records against both Roas and TRK in all of their series. If you combine all the series that they played in the past 6 months, I'm pretty sure he has a losing record against both of those players. So I don't think Moxie's a clear number 3, as some of you guys might say he is. I don't think he's clear number 3. I think he's in the mix with players like Jack, even First Killer and Daniel after First Killer's recent success, and probably Yan as well, although that's a bit more speculative because Yan's been pretty inactive recently. I'd still think he's probably there, though, in that 3 to 6 range. Yeah, Roas and TRK for me are the clear top 2. That's just, you know, my opinion. You can disagree if you want, but they've looked pretty impressive as of late. I think Moxie's all-time record against Roas is winning, but some of those series are quite long ago now, and I wouldn't really say they're relevant. Rocket League, and especially 1v1, can change very quickly. So, you know, results from a year ago don't matter at all. When you're ranking teams and you're ranking players, a year is not a relevant time frame. Even 9 months is pushing it. 6 months, fair enough. But yeah, 9 months, you're already starting to get into a different time frame, a different era almost, because Rocket League evolves so rapidly. Update on the series, or the match, I should say, for anyone who's just tuning in halfway through the stream today. It's currently 1-1 with Saudi Arabia taking the first series of the day, Nwpo eliminating Jack, and then Toxiic eliminating Dark to tie the series up. Now, we would usually have the third player for both teams hopping in to play it after that, but that's not how this one has gone, because Ahmad, the third player for Saudi Arabia, is having some internet issues at the moment. So Gom is waiting in the wings with Ahmad. They're going to hopefully play after this series is completed. And if Nwpo beats Toxiic, then Gom is going to need to beat Ahmad and Nwpo to win the series for England, which would be a crazy, that'd be a crazy performance if he can do that. If Toxiic can come back and win against Nwpo, though, then Ahmad would need to do the same thing. He'd need to win 2 straight. So very, very difficult position for whoever wins the next series between Ahmad and Gom. It's looking like Gom might be the one who's called upon as Nwpo continues to dominate. He's just a bit too good today, it seems. Defensively, I think he's been more ready to stop Toxiic in his tracks. And he's not relied on tricks working out like Dark did. When Dark played Toxiic, he really did, you know, go to that bag of tricks, especially in the kickoff game, to try and get some free possessions for himself, to get some free goals for himself, and it didn't work out at all. Overall, Toxiic was able to read him and counter him on the majority of those tricky plays. Nwpo's not relied on any tricks, and it's not really something that he ever relies on. He just blatantly beats you. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need you to fall for a mind game. He just flip resets the ball in the top corner. Says, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna save that, or are you just you're gonna watch it go in? So yeah, Dark is a more tricky mechanical player, a player who relies more on deception. Nwpo is just a I'm faster than you kind of player. He just beats people to the ball, doesn't need them to fall for tricks. He's just better. He just considers himself faster and more clinical than anyone that he plays against. And to be honest, in his form when he plays for Saudi Arabia, I don't blame him. This is him looking for his 5th victory. He's 4 wins out of 4 in series for Saudi Arabia. And now he's looking for his 5th one. Who did he win against in the first round of the Ones World Cup again? I've forgotten who Nwpo beat in the USAB matchup. I think in the semi-final he beat Clears, and in the grand final Nwpo beat Juicy. Was it Flitz? It was either Flitz, Chronic, or Evo, if I recall. It was Flitz. Yeah, so Nwpo's record for Saudi Arabia is immaculate. He's beaten Flitz, Clears, Juicy, and now apparently Jack today. And now he's looking to add Toxiic to the list. And so far, Toxiic hasn't really had an answer for Nwpo's play. Toxic's gonna need to, you know, go down the same path that Jack went down if he's gonna put Nwpo under pressure. Now, the way that Jack was able to come back into the match against Nwpo, it started off 2-0 for Nwpo, just like this one has. But the way that Jack was able to come back and force that game 5 was just by trying to force more mistakes, trying to be a little bit more aggressive in the final third. He managed to get Nwpo pre-jumping for no reason a couple of times, and he managed to capitalize on those mistakes with quick goals from close range. Toxiic has had some success with the physical plays in the series today, so I wouldn't hate seeing that. That's a great setup for an aerial play here. Nwpo there to save it, which will probably annoy Toxiic quite a lot, because that was honestly pretty impressive by him in the setup. Nwpo is just able to read it the whole way. And what a defensive powerhouse Nwpo's looking like in the match today. This is something I really didn't expect. It's something we didn't really have to see too much in his World Cup matches. When he beat Flitz, when he beat Clears, when he beat Juicy, he was the player who's running the show in offense the entire time. But even when he's been forced back into defense today by Jack and by Toxiic, Nwpo's had great reads on what his opponent's up to. Positioning has been levels above what we're used to seeing from him. It's a terrifying prospect to think that Nwpo could just completely elevate himself to an even higher height by being more solid defensively, because, you know, the one player who's really had Nwpo's number when they've matched up has been Rawas. He's dominated Nwpo like no one else has when he's played him in the past few months. And you know, for me, the difference between those two players was always very clear. Oh, what a play by Nwpo. That's just ridiculous control to go up 3-0. Toxiic is lost for what to do here. Nwpo is just simply too quick to the punch, and his control is perfect. Yeah, when Rawas did beat Nwpo recently, he was able to put the brakes on Nwpo's offense and also just break down Nwpo's defense in a way that we've not really seen anyone do today. I think we've got to give more credit to Rawas' offense. He's always called by me and known by many as the best defender in the world right now, but the reason Rawas is the top dog for the World of Ones at the moment is not just his defense, it's because he's got such a constant mechanical threat in offense as well. He can match players like Nwpo in offensive power when they play and then beat him in defensive consistency. Well, Nwpo's not played that one very consistently. He saves himself. Toxiic gets his first goal of the game. Daniel's #1 in defense. In what game mode? You must be talking about 2s or 3s. Well, can Toxiic build on this? He's got one nice play going, and he's got another one as well. Toxiic has capitalized here, kind of in the same way that he did against Dark in the previous series. He read a fake kickoff, got a goal off it, and then he managed to score on Nwpo in the same manner that Jack did quite a few times earlier today. Just waiting for the pre-jump and then forcing the ball under it. Toxiic's read Nwpo very well here. Flick is not really all that threatening though. It's very interesting seeing the different styles of play that players have in that back corner there. If that's Nwpo, you know he's just going to air dribble, but since it's Toxiic, he opts for the ground play, and it wasn't a bad one, but he's hit the post twice. And Nwpo will run in his 5th goal of the game, but he really did not have anything to say about that flick. That was an absolute laser to the top corner from Toxiic. He's a bit unfortunate that it bounced unfavorably for him. Yeah, Nwpo and, you know, Dark as well in the previous series would have probably gone for an air dribble off the back wall there. Toxiic prefers to just bring the ball down when he can. He's still leaning that direction with his offense. And Nwpo just hasn't found it too difficult to handle. He booms in a 6th goal. All about pace. Nwpo has been quicker. He's been very consistent mechanically as always. His mentality has been rigid. Jack got a little bit of momentum going, actually a lot of momentum going against Nwpo in their series that they played. Nwpo was able to clutch it up in game 5, and since then he's not looked like he's interested in losing. What a save on another boomer of a flick from Toxiic, and Nwpo's beating him to the follow-up again. It's been a pretty consistent theme of this game. When both players commit to a ball that looks like it's in a pretty even position, there's only one player who's consistently dusting his opponent, and it's Nwpo from Saudi Arabia. He is just too quick. Toxic's playing in his game right now. He's falling for the bait every single time. Every time he thinks that he can get a 50-50, he's getting beaten to the ball. Whenever he thinks that he can get a win on the race to the ball, it turns out to be a 50-50 that Nwpo's controlling, as again he beats him to the punch. Now I don't know if Toxiic will forfeit early this time, it being potentially the last game. Well, will be if he loses. But how do you come back from 6 goals down against a Nwpo who's playing this well? He is doing it all for Saudi Arabia today. Mission impossible for Gom. If he is called upon to beat Nwpo in the last series of the day for England. You know, you can't really fault Toxiic too much for this one. He's, I think, just not got that extra gear to go to these days. And this is, I think, the difference between Nwpo and the other all-out offensive players. I think the only player that can do this is Jan, really. The only player that can play like Nwpo does, with constant offensive threats backed up by a very solid midfield game that just really doesn't rely on mistakes. It fully forces mistakes, Nwpo's playstyle. He just goes, he doesn't need his opponent to do anything wrong. He'll force them to do things wrong. And he has absolutely crushed Toxiic here. GG's, and a totally fair forfeit from Toxiic in this, as he is eliminated 3 straight games. Unbelievable level by Nwpo. a 5th straight series win for Saudi Arabia. And he might come back for a 6th if Gom beats Ahmad, or if Ahmad's internet beats Ahmad. And that's definitely a series he'd be the favorite in. Just unbelievable. Well played. Nwpo puts Saudi Arabia back in front.